Welcome to our technical analysis today with Davin. And today we'll be looking into Davin's bench press. And it's me, Clinton, and we have JJ and Adam right here to help us provide knowledge and improve your bench press technique. All right. So Davin, how do you feel today? And can you do a little bit of your self-introduction?
Yeah, I feel great. I've been training for about 3.5 years, and I'm into powerlifting for about 1.5 years, approximately. Yeah, I
Right.
started with bodybuilding and then I jumped to powerlifting.
Oh, cool. Hey, Nathan. Um,
Hi.
so what does your training split look like, and what does your week look like in a training standpoint?
Okay. I've been doing block periodization for about
Yep.
3 months and using DUP.
Yep.
I squat 3 times a week, bench 3 times a week, and deadlifting 2 times a week.
So that was bench 3 times a week, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
that's
cool.
right.
Great.
Then I weigh for about 83 kilos now, but I'm
Yep.
currently shooting for I want to be 100 kilos guy.
Okay.
Oh, so
That's
you're
cool.
bulking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice. Also, have you competed in powerlifting?
No, my plan to be competed is in this year, but I don't know
Yep.
if they uh, started the event or not because in my country there is lack of event of powerlifting.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Are,
Thanks for that.
are you from Indonesia, Davin?
Yes, brother. I'm from
Oh,
Indonesia.
Yeah, so it's good that we know a bit of your training now. So can you just like quickly just explain to us like so far what do you know of the bench press, and like what do you think are some of the issues that you have?
Okay, for bench press, as far as I know, is my scapula has to be retracted, mm, leg drive, and also tuck in the elbows. I think, yeah, three of those. And I learned to engage my legs
Mm.
uh, from Clinton.
oh, okay.
Okay.
That's very
Yeah.
cool. All right. So, okay, back to me. Today we are gonna go through how we can help you in terms of the bench press. I think from what we have understand from you previously, there are some things that you know, especially the retraction and engaging of the lats. I believe there are a lot of things that you still don't quite understand, which is why today we will try to fully understand, help you understand with it. Okay. Okay. So today we have the breakdown for you. This is the breakdown for today. Instead of doing the knowledge sharing first, we're gonna go through your video analysis, which is looking into your video and telling you what you have done right and what can be improved. Okay, so we're gonna also do some information gathering, which is asking you about some of the cues that you have for example, retraction or engaging the lats and whatever. And then lastly, we're gonna try and establish what's the most important problem, which we have already established among the three of us, and today we're gonna share it with you. Okay. And then we'll move on to part B, which is trying to teach you some exercises that can help you improve it. And then lastly, we're gonna show you the report that we'll be giving to you. We'll be sending it to you exclusively, so that you can continue on to train and have a specific goal in mind to improve your bench press. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the video analysis. We're
Okay.
gonna look at your first video. Okay. So this is the first video that you sent us. Okay. All right. So just take a while to look at this video. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think what you did great here is basically you because of the understanding of the leg engagement, during the execution, you know where to place the bar, which is at the sternum. Okay, so this is what you're good at. You know where the bar path and where the bar should be placed. Okay, but there's a couple of problems here. So the first problem here is during the setup, even though you try to retract your scapula, but the moment you unrack, okay, so in a while it's gonna unrack, right? You kind of pull your shoulders out. So the motion of keeping your scapular retraction has failed because you pull your shoulders out, you lose that retraction already. Okay. And then the next thing we want to look at is when you're moving the bar down, okay, especially here, even though you hit the right position, there's a lot of things that's happening here. Number one is this position is not a stable and strong position. Do you feel so? Do you feel that sometimes it's not stable and strong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this positioning, we can know that it is not stable and it's very hard to engage the right muscles to do the work when you push. When we push the weight for a bench press, as the name suggests, we want to engage more of the pectoral muscles, which is the chest, to drive the weight up. So in order to do so, our back needs to create that anchor, that stability, so that we can allow our full potential of our chest to do the work. Okay, so let's take a look at the next video. Okay, so once again, you set your grip and then you try to create that scapular retraction. Okay, I think this video is better because when you unrack, it's slightly better. Your shoulders didn't really come out. Okay, and then the bar meets the right spot. It didn't really dive that much, but we can see that it's still not very strong. So the weakest link for you for bench is actually understanding what is the real purpose of retraction and depression, the movement behavior of it, and how do I get powerful and strong when the bar meets the sternum. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay, because we all know that you have agreed with me that you feel not so stable and very unstable at the bottom of the bench. So today we'll look into it. Today, after understanding all about what we are trying to share with you, you'll get a full understanding of how do I create that stability at the bottom of the bench. Okay, we'll also be covering a little bit more about how do I set up more appropriately so that you can create that stability. Okay, so as you can see here for the bench, for your bench, there are multiple issues that we need to fix, but we feel that the most important thing is this one, which is learning how to retract and depress and learning the movement behavior of it, so that once this is more or less fixed, we can look into other aspects like maybe leg drive, elbow, more precise wrist positioning, and etc. Okay, all right, so let's move on. So before we learn, in order for us to learn more about retraction and depression, right, it is important to understand the three different spectrums of shoulder range of motion. Okay, there's three. So the first one is neutral. Okay, there's shoulders up and shoulders down. In these three positions, right, we'll show you what are the muscles that are engaged. Okay. Okay, so this is the neutral position. Davin, you can see it clearly, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, in this neutral position, right, basically we want to understand in this neutral position, the muscles that's gonna move up and down, bring your shoulders up and down, is actually the traps, the lats, and the rhomboids. So pay attention to these three muscle groups, okay? Okay, now we go into the shoulders up position. When you bring your shoulders up, right, this is where your traps will be engaged. And then there's no ability, you cannot engage your lats in this shoulders up position, okay? And if you were to bring the bar down from this position, because the bar is already so high up and is not at your sternum, when you bring it down, there's a very high possibility of using your shoulders, which is the front delts, to do the pushing. Okay, it's a very small muscle group to do a very big amount of weight. So it's quite impossible for you to create progression from there, which is why we don't recommend you to be in this position. Okay, so as you can see, when you bring it down, your elbows start to go backwards and then a lot of flaring occurs. There's no way for your pecs to do the work to push. Okay, so the culprit right here, right, is actually the traps. So one thing in mind when we do the retraction and depression is you cannot feel the traps. You must relax the traps as much as possible, which is why the setup is important now. Okay. So the next thing, shoulders down position. In this position, right? I believe you have learned it from my personal IG post about leg engagement. Okay.
Yeah.
So over here, I'm trying to pull the bar down so that I can pinch my legs in together. So what happens here is my legs are engaged and my chest is elevated. Okay. So my legs, when my legs are engaged, there's no way for my traps to come up unless you raise your shoulders up lah. So one responsibility of creating depression is always maintaining that leg engagement. Later in the slides, we'll teach you how to maintain the leg engagement when you bench. Okay. So obviously from the side, when you engage the legs, the bar will be closer to the sternum before you start the bench. So in this way, you'll be more efficient. The range of motion will be slightly shorter, and then it's easier to bench that way lah. Okay. JJ is gonna share with you how to move the bar so that you can create that stable position. And I'll give you a hint. That stable position requires you to engage not just your lats and also your rhomboids as well. Okay. So just keep yourself in so that we can share with you part by part. Okay. So right now, Adam, right, is gonna share with you in different position, shoulders up and shoulders down. What are the effects that can be made when your with regards to your elbow positioning?
Okay, thanks, Clinton. So with this first slide here, you see you're shrugging and you're relying on the trap. So this brings your elbows in a weak position where it's behind the bar, and it forces the bar path to come away from you. So it's harder to bench press any kind of weight or push any weight away from you when you're rather than pushing it closer to your center of mass, right? So you see the elbow direction here and the bar. That's pushing away from your sternum, and that's extremely hard. That puts you in a tough position to press the bar. So it's not ideal in this position. Okay. So, and we'll go over to the next slide. This next slide, it's over tucking. So you'll see that the elbows in front of the bar, too far in front. So your joints are not evenly stacked. So it creates a weak position off the chest.
So something that you did mention as well was at the beginning when we asked you about your scapular position. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so something when we asked you about your understanding of the bench is that you say you needed to bring your elbows in, right? Which is also not really a good strategy, because then when you tuck your elbows in, you actually loosen up your pecs and create more reliance on your triceps to push the weight up. Yes, you will feel more lats because now you are tucked in like that, right? So you will definitely feel more lats. But what you want to do is not just feel lats. You want to spread the load evenly across your lats, your pecs, your triceps, and your back muscles as well.
Correct.
That way you won't be over reliant on one muscle, and you'll be using more muscle to move more weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah. In addition to that, right, if you're, like as you mentioned, if you tuck, there's a very high tendency of not engaging the rhomboids, which is the scapular retraction part. So the more you tuck, the more the shoulders will come forward as well. Which is why when you tuck, right, and especially the behavior when you bench, you tend to sink the bar down. When you sink the bar down, it's very highly likely that your shoulders will come forward. So there's no way for you to engage your pectoral muscles in that way. So you'll feel a lot of your triceps, and then you feel a lot of your elbow tendonitis kind of issues surfacing. And this is what we want to prevent you from moving towards it. Okay. All right. So Adam is gonna share with you the last part, which is the ideal position.
Yeah. So ideal position here is where your joints are nicely stacked under the bar. So you see your elbow, wrists, and bar position is nicely stacked. So this will put you in an optimal position here, whereas you can get the most out of your lat and scapular retraction as well, and then relying on bigger muscle groups. Yeah.
All right.
So
So
you understand at this point? Okay.
I get it. I get it.
Okay, cool.
yep.
All right, so I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the key takeaway from depression and retraction. Okay, so depression
Okay.
means engaging lats. Okay, so when you depress, right, it is very important for your shoulders to stay pronated, elbows angled to the side. Okay, so some people like to engage the lats by corkscrewing their shoulders like that, and then their elbows will face down. So this will provoke a lot of over tucking. We do not want that. We want to keep our shoulders as neutral as possible. So when you engage your lats, you want your fists to be always facing in this manner. Okay, downwards.
All right.
Okay, all right. Then the next important thing is your traps must always stay relaxed as much as possible, because the muscles responsible to bring your shoulders up is your traps. Makes sense, right? When you shrug, this is what happened. So we
Okay.
always want to anti-shrug. So the lats must stay engaged, traps must relax. And lastly, the rhomboids is actually the muscle, which is very, very important, the key takeaway for you, because you know what is depression, you know what is lat engagement, but you don't know what's the rhomboid engagement. So the rhomboid engagement is going to help you to create that lock and stable position at the bottom of the bench. Okay, we'll elaborate more by understanding what is the movement behavior of the bench press. Okay, so JJ, take it away.
Okay, so if you see, right, so there are two parts to this, right? If you
Yeah.
are on the when you set up on the bench, right, the first
Yeah.
thing that you need to do is to make sure that you are not pushing your when you're unracking, you're not pushing the bar with your shoulders. So you're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do is instead you think about using your triceps to extend, and then you pull down, right? So in that motion, you want to once you have set up your arch, you want to minimize any more movements at the shoulder,
Yeah.
right? So you understand, right? So once you're tight, you don't have to move anymore. You just use your shoulders to kind of pull the bar out and then just bring it into position. So how that will look from the back, if you look from underneath you, is the picture that Clinton has showed. So now your lats will be the final one to pull, whereas your shoulders are already, your rhomboids have already retracted, and then your lats will just have to pull it down into position, right?
Right.
Any questions at this point?
No.
Okay, cool. Right. So this is where the setup is really, really important, because if without the setup, if you set up and then you still use your shoulders to pull it out, you're going to lose that position. And not only have you lost the position, you now have weight in your hand. So it's going to be even harder for you to find a good position, because now you have a weight in your hand. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at this second picture now, what's happening is, can you see that line in the middle of the back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. As opposed to the first picture where there's no line, right? Or the line is not as obvious. So what's happened as you are bringing the bar down towards your chest, that you need to think about your shoulder blades moving closer towards each other. So it's not just about letting the bar drop to your chest, maintaining a position. It's about pulling the bar down to your chest and your shoulder blades getting closer and closer and closer to each other, right? So that will make sure that as when it touches your chest, the position is so stable that when you press, you can transfer energy efficiently into the bar, and you're not losing any more stability and power at the shoulders, right? And all of this time, yeah. So go ahead.
Don't rush the bar down. So don't rush the
Yes,
bar down.
yes. Don't rush the bar down. And if I will even say that the biggest focus for you would not even to just be rushed. Don't even think about taking the bar down. Think about squeezing your shoulders, like, because when you squeeze the shoulders, the bar will naturally come down, right?
Yeah.
So you want to think about letting the bar naturally come towards you by squeezing the shoulders, right? You don't even have to think about elbow or pecs or anything. When you get this shoulder position right, all the muscles will naturally work in the way that they are meant to work.
The more you
Yeah,
bring
I
the
get
bar down, the more you need to engage the rhomboid muscles, which is the muscles in between, which is trying to bring the scapular weak in together as much as possible. So when the bar meets the sternum, right, you should feel a very, 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 very tight sensation on the overall back because your lats and this part right in the middle, rhomboids, are engaged. Okay. So like some people have cues to say that, okay, when you bench, bring the chest to the bar. So basically this is the cue. This is what's actually going on behind on your back. Okay. So now that you have understand, right, when I move the bench, the movement behavior is come out, engage the lats, use your tricep, extend, keep your shoulders back, use your lats to bring the bar down in line with your sternum, close to it. And then when you go down, you want to squeeze the rhomboids in. And then when you come up, you're going to push it back. And then you're going to repeat the process and out, in and out. So this is something new for you, right, Davin?
It's very new.
Okay, awesome. At least we create some value for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, right, we're gonna move on to the next part. Remember, the most important part is understanding what you have understand just now, which is these two behavior. Okay.
Yes.
Now we're gonna show you what are the setup guidelines that I can provide for you, so that you can improve. So remember, I said I mentioned that your traps must always stay relaxed. Okay, so this is where the setup comes in. Setup includes the leg drive and how you bring yourself into the bar. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you the video. Okay. Okay, so this is me setting up for the bench. Okay, so let's share the video. Show you the video first. Okay, so I'll lie down. I'll grab the bar. Okay, this is a very chilled way. We're not going into extreme setup or what. So first, I bring my shoulders back. I retract a little. Then I use the bar to pull myself up. I lift my head up so that my legs are relaxed. And then from here, I use my triceps a little bit. And then the next thing is all the legs come in. So as you can see, my legs are stable in this position. So all I do is I brace and I squeeze my rhomboids in and I push, release. So as you can see, at all times, my shoulders are always stayed behind like that. Okay, so let me show you once again. Okay, so I'll lie down, I grab the bar, I retract a little bit, keep my shoulders back. Okay, I lift my head up, I drive myself up, you see my legs. Okay, and then from here, tricep and lats. Now the bar is right on top of my sternum. Okay, and then my legs, right, I just need to maintain tension. If I don't maintain the tension, my head will come up and my traps will be engaged. So leg drive is basically just maintaining tension and keeping the bridge in place. Okay. Okay. So now if you heed my advice and you go and try it out, you'll find a little bit of difficulty unracking the bar at first. It is normal because I mean, I train with JJ all the time and I always need him when I bench because I can only unrack myself at 70 kilo, which is why, as you can see here, the video demonstration is only at 70. If I move myself up to 150, I can never unrack myself because I heavily rely on, because I always want my shoulders to be in position. So the only way for me to bring it out is with someone assisting me up the weight off the hook. And then I use my legs to bring the bar all the way down. Okay. So JJ is always sometimes very stressed as well because he always feels that he messed up the unracking.
It's too heavy for me.
Yeah, it's because when I hit numbers like 160, 170, he will be a little bit stressful because it may be a little bit heavy for him. But it's okay. All these methods and strategies are implemented so that my shoulders can stay in place. Remember, let's say when you go for a competition, the most important thing is after when he says start command. So whatever happens during the unrack, right? You can ask him to push as high as possible, pull as high as possible so that you can set yourself in the right position. So that's why it's the most important. Whichever means necessary to keep your shoulders retracted and depressed and ready for a solid bench. Okay? All right. Okay, so let's move on to the cue exercises and movement prep recommendations. So there are some exercises that we'll implement to you. Adam will share with you. And also JJ is going to share with you some movement prep exercise because what's hindering your progression is your movement pattern. So you don't understand how to move as you bring the bar down. So there are some exercises and preparations for you to do before your training and also exercises implemented for your training because you're doing DUP, which is benching 3 times a week. So Adam has some ideas in mind to help you with that. All right, Adam.
Yes. So You're saying that you're benching 3 times a week. Is that including supplemental exercises such as like dumbbell pressing or anything like that, or are you just doing 3 bench press exercises a week?
Yeah, I supplemental like incline and also flat benches.
Flat benches. Okay, cool. So um, some ideas to add into your programming, some programming considerations is, of course, keep the competition bench press in there with a competition pause on the chest. Okay, so all these other exercises that I'm going to recommend is going to help your bench press and help different aspects and different areas of the bench press. We're not going to try and fix everything all in one movement. We're going to spread the movements out, right? So as we can see that from all your videos, your bench press is all touch and go. So you're heavily relying on that stretch reflex. So, but in the competition, it's not touch and go. We pause on the chest, right? So, so your first exercise is your competition bench press with a competition pause on the chest. Okay, and then secondly, we want to implement a exaggerated pause on the chest. So I would recommend doing a 2 count t-shirt bench on your chest. A t-shirt bench is when you bring the bench press, bring the barbell down and you lightly touch the t-shirt on your chest, okay, instead of dumping it on your chest. So you want to maintain that tightness with your lats and your retraction at the bottom of the bench press so you get comfortable in that weak range of motion. We want to try and get strong in that range of motion, okay? Okay, the next movement I would recommend is just the eccentric tempo, which is like say a 6 second tempo eccentric. So you come down, you're gonna lightly touch your chest and then just come back up. The reason being I would recommend this exercise is just to get used to that scapular retraction, what JJ and Clinton have been talking about, is trying to practice that new movement on the way down and bring it down and get really comfortable in retracting. Okay, so that's teaching you retraction there. And then I heard you're doing some incline benching as well. I recommend if you can get away with doing some incline pin presses, a low incline pin press. But if you don't have any pins, then just do a normal incline bench. But what you want to do is do it with a barbell with your competition grip. And what you want to practice is just getting, just practice that bar path just off the chest. Okay. So one of the main weaknesses we see, as well as the scapular retraction, is the just kind of dumping the bar on your chest a little bit and relying on that bounce. So we want to cut that out and then just really work on being really tight on the chest, because in competition, that's where we want to be strong at. Starting off with. So have you got any questions?
So I will just naturally get into the position and not overtapping the bar, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you put focus on retracting and feeling the rhomboids, your elbows will naturally meet the right position where the bar is just under your elbow. So it will eliminate the problem of you overtucking.
So even though incline benching is a supplemental exercise, and then you've got your secondary work, you want to really do each exercise with intent. Okay, so you want to figure out the reason why you're doing that exercise, and then you have to do it with purpose as well. So really pay attention to that and really try and get strong with the retraction and the bar on your chest.
So by doing all this recommended exercise, it's going to help you improve your movement pattern of the bench press, which is what you're lacking. Okay, so before we move on to the next part, which is movement prep recommendation.
Adam, just a quick question. What kind of reps and sets and intensity should we be looking at for all of these different exercises?
Yep. Okay. So if you're doing classic DUP with your bench press, then just keep your competition bench press the same as however you're programming it. So between 5 to 2 reps. And then you've got your secondary 2 count pauses. That can be very similar as well. You want to be doing that at a higher intensity, between the medium to high intensities. And then your supplemental work, you want to do that at a lower intensity and more volume phase. Same with the tempo, 600 tempo. I would not recommend doing that for any more than 3 reps. It would just start to get very uncomfortable. But even though it's in a eccentric tempo, you'll do that at a lower intensity.
Okay.
So I recommend just playing around with intensity. Are you familiar with RPE?
I use RPE every time.
Every time, great. So with all that, with all your secondary stuff, I'll just keep it around to a 7 to an 8 RPE. So maybe work around the 6 RPE and then the 7 and then an 8 RPE, and then just do that for a block or 2. Once you're confident with the movements and the intensities, then you might be able to ramp up some sets to a 9 RPE, probably just for 1 set, and then back it down.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole point of doing the supplemental the secondary movements like the t-shirt bench and the tempo bench is to make sure that you're actually focusing on the movement and the quality of the movement. So don't think about doing like, I'm gonna do sets of 6s or something like that, because if you do 6s for the eccentric bench, it'll be like a minute-long set or something like that. So you really don't want to. You want to preserve the quality of the reps over the weight on the bar. Is the rep quality that will transfer over.
Yeah, with this high long eccentric work, doing it for a number of reps, it will you'll be, once you get fatigued, you'll be focusing more on like how much this sucks rather than movement quality. So yeah, keep the reps low and just focus on really good movement pattern and quality of each rep.
Now we are moving on to the last part, which is the movement prep recommendations. As we understand that Davin's issue is actually he's unsure of how to create that movement pattern. So there's a lot of movement pattern preparation for you, which we'll recommend. And JJ, we're gonna share with you the first one.
Okay, so the first one what I will call it it's just called scapular push-ups. So basically what we want to teach you with the movement prep is how to engage the rhomboids as well as the low traps and the lats all at the same time. So to give you that reference point of how it should feel. So this thing about low level learning drill, right? So you see what's happening now is Clinton is just staying very still. His upper body is not moving much, and he's just learning to squeeze the shoulder blades together. His elbows will move a bit for now, but that's just because he's moving the scapula. So what you want to do is you want to get in a push-up position and just think about squeezing the shoulders and relaxing the shoulders. So squeezing back and relax. And then this is something you can do for about like maybe 5 to 8 reps, just to get, before you start benching, just to get a feel of how it should feel like. And then from this position, once you've done the 5 to 8 reps, what you can do is then you can squeeze fully and lower your body slowly towards the bench. So you see how where the bench ends is roughly where the bar will touch his chest, right? So in that position, you want to squeeze the shoulder blades and then bend your elbows down towards and touch the bench. And when you touch the bench, it's the same thing as the bench press. You don't want to heavily touch the bench, right? You don't want to crash your whole body in the bench, right? So that would be equivalent to letting the bar sink into your chest, which is not what we want, right? Because if you sink into the chest, you will lose your elbow positioning, you'll lose your shoulder positioning, and then from that position, it's a very inefficient position to press from.
Right.
Okay, so we want to start with that. that drill. Okay, and then after that, we can move on to the another drill that you can do, and this is one thing to do. This can be something that you add in as a superset to your bench press sets as well. So
Okay.
in between your sets, what you can do is you can do some band pull aparts. So the position that you want to do is actually you want to set it's the same as unracking the bar. So you go from an elevated position, you press up, and then you pull down, and then you roll the bar towards you while you are pulling the band apart. So you are actually, you see how he depress the shoulders, and then he rolls the band towards him while pulling the band apart.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very slight movement, but what we want to do is actually not pull with our hands. So we don't want to do this. We want to use the shoulder blades to pull and pull the band towards us. So it's all the movement is majority of the movement is from the shoulder blades rather than using the arms to pull. Because obviously, if you have a barbell, you can't pull the bar apart. So you want to think about using that shoulder to just squeeze back and forth. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So, but basically, the other drill is called a scapular depression drill. So it's very simple. What you want to do is you want to put your hands beside you, like around your butt area, and you just want to press down. So when you press down, you want to think about your shoulders. It's kind of like an anti-shrug drill. So when you are imagine you're shrugging about, you're doing this, right?
Yes.
But instead of doing that, you want to press down and press your body away from the floor. So that will teach you how to think about squeezing the lats, using the lats to pull down, using the triceps to also pull down, and making your shoulders move away from your ears. So that will be the same position as so if you think about yourself lying on a bench, you will be doing this. You'll be pulling your shoulders down. Okay, and you should feel a bit of rhomboids. You should feel a bit of your lower traps as well, and that will help you engage to pull the shoulder blades down rather than keep it neutral and kind of slightly elevated a bit. So you want to pull the shoulder blades down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you have any questions at this point in time?
I think not. It's clear.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So
Okay,
what's going to happen is
yeah. So this is your personal technical report. We're gonna send it to you, the updated one. So right here we will list out what is your issue, and then what is the call to action. Okay, so in a while later, when we are finished with this call, Gigi is gonna write out everything. Basically, the main focus area is understanding the movement behavior of retraction and depression. And then the feedback from the video is we need to get the setup more appropriate so that your shoulders stay back. And then when we move the bar down, we need to try to touch the bar instead of sinking the bar down. And then get your elbows in line instead of over tucking it. Okay. In terms of program and movement prep, we're gonna add in 3 exercises for you to try and implement, as Adam suggested, which is the pause bench, the eccentric tempo bench, and also the incline bench to understand the movement pattern and the bar path of it. Okay. So all these call to action for you, and also the movement prep, which is the band pull apart, retraction drill, the push-up scapular drill, and also the scapular depression drill from YouTube. Okay, so all this will help to improve the quality of your bench, and in a few weeks time, possibly in 6 weeks, we'll check back with you to see if you have made any improvements from it. Okay, so this is not the end, because we're gonna help you until you understand and improve.
Just to check with you, David, are you able to train? Because if we check back with you in 6 weeks and you're still in quarantine, I mean, there's nothing to check back with. So, are you able to train at the moment?
I'm currently not, but I hope I can.
Oh, okay. So you are also in kind of lockdown and.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll monitor the situation, and when everybody can start to train again, we will create that system so that we can check back on you again.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Davin, I
Yep.
would like you to share with us what you have, what your key takeaways from today's session. What have you learned most importantly?
Yeah, I have learned about scapular depression and retraction, and so that also the position, so I keep my legs engaged and I'm not overtapping the elbows, and I will rack rack the bar with my triceps, so I'm not pounding on my shoulders, and I will drag the bar down but not sinking it. And with rhomboids, like JJ said, I think it's pretty much the problem since I'm benching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using only my triceps, like 30% only on my pectoral muscles while I'm benching.
Awesome. Coaches, do you have anything else to add on?
Yeah, guys. So I would like to add something quickly. So if you, whenever you can get back to training, once you design your program, feel free to DM me, and then I'm happy to look over it as well together with you and help you implement those recommendations I made for you.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
No problem.
JJ?
Yeah, that nothing from me. Just like if you same thing as Adam, if you feel like any of the drills you're unsure of, you can also just DM any of us, and it'll be good to just see you do them properly.
Okay,
Yeah, once
okay.
again,
So,
I'm always free on IG. So I believe you have asked me questions before and I replied you. So just continue to do so if you have any doubts. Okay.
okay, thank you.
So yeah, basically we are all just three helpful and people who have nothing to do, but right now we just want to help people improve the quality of the bench, because our goal is to create that clear, accurate, and specific powerlifting information for you guys and those who are in need. Okay, so we have come to the end of this technical analysis, and I hope that you have learned quite a bit from here. And the viewers out there, I hope you guys have enjoyed the full technical analysis of it. So feel free to like this video and share with everyone. So I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye,
Thanks.
guys.